I sort of feel like sometimes at a certain point in this life thing, it just sort of clicks, you know? Everything becomes a little bit easier. Things sort of snap into place. The puzzle pieces just glide together. I no longer have to smash them with my rubber mallet. Welcome to my world. Are you ready? Come with me on a journey through time, some places, some love, comedy, tragedy, death, therapy. You know, all of the good things that make up a Bishop Tale. Don't be scared. It's just me out here meeting the internet in person. I feel like 2009 was an interesting year. I was, a big fat 33. My son Gabe, he was 6 years old. And I guess before we start to go forward, let's go back just a smidge, okay? I think one of the reasons that I really felt like I was hitting my stride was because of the roles. The father role, I was doing that awesome. The Santa Claus role. Guys, the year before 2009, let's say Christmas of 08, I was so good. I had the production, I had the big box, I had the scavenger hunt, I had the letters handwritten by Santa to my sons, encouraging their better behaviors throughout the year. So it was pretty amazing for me to be able to make 3 guinea pigs, 3 live guinea pigs just disappear on Christmas morning. And the year before, I had made these same 3 guinea pigs up here. So that was pretty cool. I don't know, I had told Raven many times that the answer was not more pets. In our tiny, 5 humans, we already had 2 cats, getting more pets. But I said, hey, they're gonna be interested for about a half an hour. Maybe 20 minutes. And then guinea pigs are gonna feel boring. But what do you do, right? So I was the father role and I just did it. And I think it started to come naturally. I guess ever since my childhood ended, right around age 15, I think I was in improvise mode, right? Do the best with whatever we got. It's gonna suck, You were branded the failure, the broken child, so whatever you can do, whatever you can make a little bit better. So when it came to guinea pigs, I was like, okay, I guess I'll build them this ginormous skyscraper. It had 3 different levels, little ladders, and it's hard to see, but I just put it in the corner of the living room. It was pretty messy, pretty big headache. But I do miss the sounds. They, if you've ever had guinea pigs, you've ever been around them, they make this weird weet, weet, weet sound, and pretty cute. Okay, that's enough of the past. I feel like I only illustrate it because of the extreme, from ages 15 through even the birth of my child. That first year was pretty horrific. 15 through 28, let's call it. And it's only in the 4 or 5 years that followed that I was in my prime, I hit my stride, everything made sense. Everything was as close to good as I could make it. In 2009, my son Gabe, he graduated kindergarten and he had wowed all the teachers. Everybody that saw him, everybody that encountered him. He made a ton of friends. It was a golden year, And during that summer, my family and I, Raven and the 3 boys, we lived in a place called a townhome. And townhome is kind of weird. I think back in the day, it must have been really cool. Neighborhood, community, everybody knows each other, and it just wasn't like that, back in 09. So Raven was all about volunteering and trying to make the world a better place, and I loved her for that, and everybody else loved her for that too. So a long time ago in our townhome complex's history, we had this thing, it was called Fun Day. So on one particular weekend, you know, in the summertime, they would close the whole street, guys, and they would bring in vendors, bounce house, water slides, you know, water balloons. They would play kickball as a group, as a community. And Raven really enjoyed that idea. So she went to the board of directors and she said, hey, please, 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 let's bring this back, okay? I know it costs money. I know we don't have great participation, but let's try. Let's try and see what we can do, you know, because it's our community. We're supposed to invest in it, right? So after trying and trying, I think it went on for years. Finally, one day, the board was like, okay, Raven, we're giving you your fun day. Just, okay. So they threw their hands up and Raven clapped and said, yay, we're bringing back fun day. Oh yeah. Guys, my kids, they had at least 2 parents. I think the stepsons had 4 parents, lots of grandparents. Our kids were well cared for. I don't know what the right word is, but like we poured time and energy and attention. They had toys, they had affection. And this wasn't the case for a lot of the neighborhood kids that used to hang out with us in our own backyard, you know. They were children of single parents, single mothers that would work all the time. So on that day in August of '09, when the whole neighborhood turned into a festival, these kids were incredulous. They would run up to me and say, Bishop, this is the best day. This is wonderful. Like, can it be like this forever? Are we doing it again next year? And I couldn't help but just be amazed at the dedication that Raven, like, she cared about these kids, you know? And maybe the following year, everybody's rent went up because somebody has to pay for all the bounce houses. But yeah, the face painting, it just, so I hung out, you know, I took some video. I tried my best to participate, but as the day grew into nighttime, I don't know, the chaos, it gets to be too much. So I retired, went back to the house, sat on the floor, grabbed a beer, turned on the telly. And Raven, she had instructed everybody to gather. We had a community center, and it was kind of like just an empty boardroom, bunch of tables, chairs, a lot of the birthdays for the boys we would spend in this community center. So Raven had said, hey, at the end of the day when it starts to get dark, come to the community center. We're gonna have board games, we're gonna have music, we might watch a movie, we're gonna do some stuff, okay? So it's not over. So I think it got to be about 9 p.m. Fun day was over. Everybody was exhausted. Parents and children alike. And Raven was at the community center picking up, you know, loading up the minivan. I think it was around 10 p.m. She came walking in our door and she looked right at me and she asked a strange question. She said, did you move the minivan? It did not take her long to notice the expression on my face. I was probably on my second beer and I just said, what are you talking about? So Raven did a 180 and went right back out the door. And I thought, that was weird. What else do you think, right? Like, yeah, maybe she was tired. It was a couple hours later when Raven finally returned, and I just, like, what was I supposed to do? This was before the time of cell phones. So when she walked out the door, I sat by the phone. I grabbed a third beer. And it must have been about midnight. And she came and she sat on the couch. And I looked at her and I said, are you okay? And she said, I think somebody stole our minivan. And I said, okay. Did you call the police? She says, no. I don't know if it's just me, but like the next question that naturally sort of appears is, why didn't you call the police? She says, I don't know. I guess I just thought that you had moved it and it didn't make sense, you know. Bishop, it was the end of a long day. I don't know. So I sort of scratched my drunken head and I said, Rave, what? Like, tell me the whole thing, okay? Well, I must have been packing up, putting the board games away. I must have had the keys in the minivan. I was ready to go. And I think I may have left it running. Oh, wow. So on the side of the road, you left our minivan running. Guys, this was our only minivan. I had sold my little Hyundai a little bit previous because we just never used it, you know. I don't know. So what followed was an excruciating, just super painful, ugly, miserable experience where Raven told me that after she had left our house and found the minivan was still gone, she went to her friends down the street. Her name was Claire. And she said, hey, you know, can you drive me around? I think my minivan has been stolen. And of course, the Claire says, okay, yeah, let's jump in my vehicle. We'll go drive around the block. We'll go looking for it. I think I hesitated to ask what Rave was gonna do if she had found the bad guy that had stolen our minivan. Was she gonna confront? Like, neither her nor Claire had a cell phone. So once they had left, it just broke my mind. And I wondered for a time, who is this person? You know, who is my partner? Because as soon as she noticed that the van was gone, she could have picked up the phone and called, you know, and things would have turned out a lot different. Stompa, stompa. So in the days that followed, it was rough. It was a rough, difficult ordeal. You know, not only did we not have a vehicle, I mean, the kids are about to start school in September, right? Like, we don't have a vehicle, we can't get to the grocery store, we can't, game over, you know? And all because Rave didn't bother. She could have called. Like, you call them as soon as you know it's gone. The cops can swarm the area. They can find the bad guy. For her to do what she did, oh, it hurt so bad. So not only did it hurt Raven and I, the constant talking about it, the constant fight about it, the what you could have done, should have done, the where are we now, all this, you know, super hurtful. But I think the part that really got to me was that our sons, they sort of saw this, and it was unavoidable, right? Because mommy got the minivan stolen, you know? So just bad, you guys, bad all the way around. No way around it, no way to fix it, you know? Bad things happen. And, you know, like, she was trying to help people. She was trying to be good. She was trying to give and sacrifice. And what happened? Because of her sacrifice, because of her determination, she worked so hard for this, and at the end, it just didn't make sense. It couldn't make sense, you know? Why would you punish this? I don't know. It still hurts, huh? I guess life just sort of carries on, right? Like, what else could it do? So we ended up borrowing Raven's friend's Claire's vehicle to drop the kids off at school. I don't know. We just made do, you know? Rave was able to borrow a vehicle from her parents that they were no longer needing, so I don't know. I guess just because you're knocked down doesn't mean you don't get back up. It just took a bit. In September, something strange happened because for the first time in many years, guys, little Gabe was off to he was off to first grade. He had just graduated kindergarten, so first grade meant full time. And now all three boys were full time at school. No need for a stay-at-home parent anymore. So this was quite different for us. I think I had qualified for some unemployment at the time. So I was home exploiting the system because I didn't want to go to work. Raven was not employed either. She was doing little side jobs, little side projects here and there. We would make, little extra income where we could. But yeah, this was weird because there was the absence, no more stay-at-home mom. She would volunteer here and there. She would go on, the class trips, supervise. Yeah. I think it was, towards the fall, the autumn, that Raven started to feel a certain sort of emptiness. And she said, Bishop, I need something. I need something so bad. I just need, I got to take care of something. To have no kids, it's just doesn't feel right. So of course I said, well, what do you think we should do about it? And she says, I really want a dog. I've always wanted a dog. No, Rave. No more dogs. No more pets. We can't keep doing this. I guess I started to see just how desperate she was, and how things had just sort of frazzled. I don't know. What's the right word there when it feels like a grenade has gone off inside your family's home? So I did the logic. I said, look, this is not going to work. This is not going to be good. This is, I'm sorry, Rave, this is not the answer, but I don't know. It was really hard once she had set her mind to it that she wanted something. So what could I do, She watched the Craigslist ads. Do you remember the Craigslist? And at some point she found a free puppy. All you had to do was go pick it up. Female, indeterminate breed, could be a little of this, a little bit of that, but the price tag. So what could I do? I said, okay. We went and we picked up a dog, and that December, Raven called this her Christmas gift to the family. We brought home a little brown dog. She was just a puppy. What should we name it? What should we name it? Oh my gosh, so exciting, right? And Gabe had been playing a video game at the time. It was called Dragon Age. This was the original, guys. So Dragon Age numero uno. And in this game, there is a breed of very large dogs, almost like a pit bull, but it's the size of a baby cow. And these dogs were called Mabari, with an M. So Gabe kind of looked at this little brown puppy and said, it looks like a Mabari. And how could you argue with that, right? So I think Raven, over time, she sort of shrank the Mabari into just Ari with an A-R-I. But hey, what am I supposed to say? It's Christmas or something. It was a new year. It was 2010. And I think our family was pretty much happy. We were still struggling with the lack of a vehicle. But you know what? You find out who your friends are real quick. We had a new dog. We had to get rid of the girl cat of our family. Her name was Julie. We had to let her go because she kept peeing all over, and I didn't know this. I learned this many years later, but if you have 2 cats in a household, you need 2 litter boxes because they don't like to share. So in my haste, I think Julie had peed on Gabe's bed one day, and I was like, off she goes. So we sent her to the pet store. So yeah, a new dog, still the old cat we had. His name was Joe. And yeah, I can look back and think, this was pretty good, considering, yeah. A strange thing started happening. A strange thing started to happen. Our baby dog, our Mabari, well, she kept getting bigger, and like considerably bigger. So what had started off as a little tiny brown puppy was now becoming a much more medium-sized dog. And our townhome our townhouse, our complex, it had rules. And the rules were specific, okay? Your dog had to be a certain size, he had to be a certain weight, he could not be too tall, he could not, how do I say this? He could not be so powerful that he could tackle a young child, maul it to death, and yeah. So you were restricted. It said literally 25 pounds or less, 12 inches at the shoulder or less, and there was no room for negotiation. This wasn't where you could go petition the board, because this was like insurance issue, right? If something bad happens, insurance isn't going to cover it. So we watched and we watched as this dog slowly grew. Our neighbors started watching. Some of our neighbors weren't the most pleasant. Some didn't like Raven. Some didn't like me. I know, big shock there. I said, Rave, I don't know how we can do this. Like, I'm sorry, but the dog's getting too big. If it gets any bigger, we're in violation. Like, we just... Rave says, no, it'll be okay. It's fine. It'll be okay. Sometimes there was just no convincing the Taurus. She just, yeah. So I tried in my subtle ways to say, look, we just have to let go. We have to give it up. We can't keep this dog anymore. But for the past, 4 months, Raven had grown real close to her dog. This was her therapy dog. This was the salvation from the loss of our minivan, from the mistake of a fun day last year. So again, just very painful, very difficult conversation to have with the person that you love, to say, look, I got to take away your dog. And so here's what happens. So Raven says, it's all your fault, Bishop. You should have a better job. We should be in a house. We should have no rules. We should have a backyard. It's all your fault. I didn't like it when Raven did this. It felt to me like fighting dirty. So I kind of shrugged. I shrugged and I let it go, right? What can you do? So this argument, this fight, it became a popular thing. It was always the thing. It was, hey, we got to get rid of the dog now, And anytime we got close to that, everything would come out. Every anger, every issue. Usually it was money, or the boys, the kids, or the green. How we never seemed to have enough. We would lay in bed and we would just cry, stay up there all day. The kids would be downstairs watching watching the telly, playing video games, and Raven and I would be side by side just crying. Sometimes we would hug each other or spoon. Sometimes we would cry and just say mean things. And as we laid there on this one particular day, I think it was around April, I sort of retorted. I lost it. I said, what do you want me to do about it? Rave said, well, we could get married. And I said, okay. And just like that, the bishop was proposed to. I don't know, guys. To solve problems, to try to make the best of a bad situation, that was my role. And whatever I could do, Raven was just going through things. It was almost an empty nest syndrome because her boys had grown up. They no longer needed their mom. So the minivan getting stolen, the dog, and now the wedding. So okay. But we've got to get rid of the dog. We just have to, because we can't keep it. I'm sorry. Rave said, okay. Her next question, it was, when? When, Bishop? I said, the time when I felt the absolute worst about our relationship, it was when you told me that you were pregnant and you were keeping my kid after we had broken up for like 4 months, right? So that day, when I got that page at my work and I called you back, that was horrible for me. And what followed was pretty bad too. So to me, that day, November 17th, 2002, bad day. So Rave, if you want to get married, then I want to do it on the farthest day away from November 17th. I just want to go 6 months this way or 6 months that way. And you know what? It's May 17th. I'll get married to you on May 17th. Oh my gosh, Raven is shocked, right? Because guys, it's April. I got a wedding to plan. Wipe away tears, get up, it's time to go. Woo! We did the same with our Mabari dog. We made a Craigslist ad, we took a picture, and eventually we brought her to a lesbian couple, you know, on the north side of town. It was all good. They promised to take good care of her. I gave Raven the biggest hug I could, and then I just sort of let it go. I just let it go, Bishop. And this wedding, guys, we did not have money for a wedding. This was gonna be the poorest wedding ever, ever assembled. So for food, Raven enlisted her sisters. She has an older and a younger sister, so they were gonna do lasagna, garlic bread, easy peasy, right? We were gonna borrow the community center. There was a little park right across the street and little waterfall, lots of cool flowers, perfect setting, walking distance. May 17th on 2010 happened to be on a Monday, but you know, people were excited, they came anyway. Everybody except for my dad, because at this point he had been so absent, you know, there was just didn't even try. But my mom, my stepdad, brother and sister were there, their kids were there. It was quite a thing. On that day, I stood, I don't know, we did a little ceremony, we washed our feet. I had grabbed one of our neighbor friends, I believe her name was Tia, a larger black woman, beautiful voice. So we washed our feet, we stood in front of a little waterfall, we said some vows that I had written the night before, and we put some rings on our fingers. And we did it all, guys. We had the reception right across the street, you know. It was the best that we could manage, I think. And for Raven, there was some sort of closure, you know. Now this was her husband. And now I could say this was my wife, and these are our children. I never made my stepsons call me, you know, daddy. It was always Bishop. It wasn't gonna change. So I let it go. It wasn't a big deal, you know. And I feel like we were happy again for a little bit there. A little bit. A lot of my time and energy back then was ensuring that Raven was kept happy, or as happy as possible. You know, there was no ginormous, it was just little things every day, you know, try to keep her happy. I remember also during this time that I was trying to cram everything I could possibly teach into my sons. Everything, football, music, politics, just, we would have deep discussions. We would go out in the backyard. We would play football together. We would learn about Nerf guns and how to handle real shootings, because this was the type of era that we were in, and I wanted my kids to be safe. So everything, how to use computers, video games, weightlifting, you know, how to go fishing, how to swim. We did it all, guys. It was pretty cool. It was a pretty magical time.
Cool, I can see the snow. Ooh, and the snow fort.
I never imagined that I would ever get married. Like, that is unheard of, insane, right? Like, why would, no, especially not what happened after, you know, my childhood with my parents. I kind of wish it was a little bit less windy today. But when I looked into her eyes, you know, when I looked into the eyes of my children, it just felt right. So there was no arguing, no internals. It was all good. At this point, we did it. We did it. Let's call it good. I did not legally get married because that would open up a whole mess of other stuff. You know, complications with child support or food stamps, you know. So legally we were never married, but you know, on the surface. So we were married, and the dog was gone, and life was supposed to, you know, just snap back into good, you know. Kids were in school. I think for second Christmas that year, we were able to purchase an old vehicle from Raven's parents. It was a Buick LeSabre, and yeah, just to get us around, you know. So life, it was as good as it could be, okay? But I can remember during this time, you know, my kid, he sort of became my best friend, and my girlfriend became my wife, but we still weren't very compatible. I often craved more. I don't know. I just wanted communication, you know, I wanted depth, and Raven just, she couldn't muster it. So many times I would find myself just bored in our relationship. The kids would go to bed, I'd want to do something, you know, we'd smoke, and I'd want to talk about deep topics. Raves would have nothing of that. No, sorry. So guys, back around 10, 11, the internet started exploding, and the Facebook. Like, I wanted to reach out, and I wanted to find Amanda and find Mandy and a little bit of Kim, some others. And I guess I just really wanted connection, you know, somebody to relate to, somebody, I don't know. It's a tricky thing when we start to talk about compatibility, because on the surface, Raven and I were perfect. I loved her greatly. We just didn't have much in common. So I would reach out through the interweb, and I would type to people, and I would say, hey, I'm bored. Are you bored? Do you want to talk? And it was nothing more than platonic, you know? It was very much a friendship thing. And wow, you guys, so badly did I need this, you know, this friendship thing, this missing piece, you know? It just, I was always wanting more, always looking for more. And sometimes when I would reach out, I would actually find somebody that would want the same thing, you know? No romance, just communication, just friendship. Sometimes Rave would say, why are you talking to these people? Like, and I would try to explain it, you know? Try to say that I needed friendship and that wasn't a bad thing. And Rave said, well, isn't it gonna lead to more? No, I don't think so. You know, I'm happy. I got my kid here. We're good, but just trying to fill in a little bit of the blanks, you know? So it became like a regular thing that, you know, I would spend some time and just reach out to people, you know? Sometimes they would reach back. And I liked that. I liked that there was trust in my relationship with Raven, because then you could have friends, you know, and it wasn't supposed to hurt. Wasn't supposed to hurt. It has taken me an extremely long time to make this video. If you're doing the math, I think it's been more than a year since I have talked about my life. It has felt incredibly difficult, near impossible to really talk about the great times in my life. Not just the good, the great. And now that I'm in it, now that I'm waist deep in it, it's a weird sensation, because 2009 was a long time ago, you know? But geez, it still feels like yesterday. Why is that? Why is the trauma so carved clearly? So hey, if there were a time when you could click on all my stuff to show some appreciation for the Bishop, because I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna try to get back into this thing, because I've got some really cool stories coming up. You know, so check back. I know it's been a while. I'm sorry. And hey, if you're watching, Share your story. I want to see it. Lots of others want to see it too. This is what we're supposed to be doing, guys. Sharing your story. I love you. I'll see you next time.